What is up, everybody? The world is a better place because you are here to join us. My name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast. It is Monday, September 23rd, 2024, and we are about to recap week 3 of the NFL season. Before we get into that, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding the show across all social media platforms. And we are on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, X, Twitter at PodGobblePod. We're on TikTok at Productive Conversations. And check us out on Facebook at Productive Conversations as well. And also, don't forget to check out our presenting sponsor today, Magic Mind. Let's start taking Magic Mind, right? Get a little drink, a little shot of Magic Mind, right? I take this every day before I go to the gym, the way my schedule works. I go to the gym pretty early, 7:30. Take it, and I know my day is going to be much better than it was supposed to be without taking it. And that's because the special ingredient and the nootropics allows me to have more mental clarity. It reduces my stress and it boosts my energy. It is something that has truly changed my life for the better. And as I continually take it, it's definitely enhancing things both and physically and mentally. So huge fan of it. I can't recommend it enough. Go get your first subscription of Magic Mind at magicmind.com/PCMB and use discount code PCMB20 for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first one-time purchase. Take it for a couple of weeks and you will see how much better and more enlightened your life will be by taking Magic Mind. I promise, 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 promise. So again, go to magicmind.com/PCMB and use discount code PCMB20 for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first one-time purchase. And the code is also listed in the episode description below on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. So week 3 in the NFL is done. Also check out our week 4 recap of the college football season that's also available on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And though we have 2 Monday Night Football games today, and I will go over them during the picks every Thursday. But I have to say, a great week in the professional level. Awesome stuff in the pros for the NFL. Week 3 of the NFL. Let's start talking about everybody's favorite team to talk about in this era, the Kansas City Chiefs. They get a 22-17 victory. Mostly it was the defense that responsible for this. Kansas City goes on the road Sunday night, a big game where the owner Arthur Blank gets inducted in the Ring of Honor and highly respected around the league. So congratulations to him. I heard in the broadcast today that Roger Goodell referred to him as the voice of reason. So isn't that something to strive for? But his team, though, starting out pretty hot. Kirk Cousins looking like he might break his stigma of primetime games after a big Monday Night Football victory last week. But unfortunately, there was the Kansas City defense that was actually the major factor. Patrick Mahomes didn't do much. If it wasn't for Rashid Rice, that would be a completely shut down offense. But Mahomes and Rashid Rice, a better offensive line, was able to get enough points of separation that unfortunately the Falcons could not come back to. They were able to pressure Kirk Cousins. Unfortunately, we saw definitely the young talent of Atlanta show out tonight. Bijan Robinson looking much better. Drake London looking good. Even Kyle Pitts with a huge 50-yard reception, showing his potential. Though we do want to see more consistency from him. Just unfortunately, the Falcons ran out of time. Though we saw some questionable calls in the final 2 drives, both the final drive with the Falcons and that ugly pass interference call. And then we also saw on the final drive for the Chiefs, ugly pass interference call. Definitely questionable. At least the pass interference call in the red zone for sure should not have been called, but though not as egregious as it can be, and then you have to hold the Falcons defense responsible for not being able to cash in towards the end of the game. and you can it's definitely daunting and hard, but as long as you contain and prevent Mahomes, the Chiefs can't win. But once again, for the third straight week in only week 3 of the NFL, the Chiefs win on the final drive once again, and yeah, just so aggravating, right? So aggravating. Because we just want to see them play, and though I guess the penalties weren't as bad as the one last week against the Bengals or the week before in the season opener against the Ravens in the late calls, right? That it was just you just have to score at the end of the game with Bijan Robinson, even though had 16 carries, but wasn't able to cross the 100-yard marker, and we couldn't get major touchdowns that we needed. And yeah, Chiefs won fair and square. Though again, can we please have one freaking game? Even though it seems just the Chiefs are always on prime, can we just have one freaking game where we don't have the Chiefs? I don't have a problem with them being able to pull it off in the fourth quarter as always becoming clutch it seems with Mahomes. And even with Kelsey not making much plays, Xavier Worthy, great first game, has been quiet the next two. And it really has only been Rasheed Rice and Patrick Mahomes. But could we at least just not have a questionable, emphasize the word questionable penalty call from the referees during the Chiefs primetime game? Can we at least stop that? And, I'm feeling a little stuffy. I apologize how my eyes look. Just getting some allergies and the change of seasons. But my voice is still here, my brain is still here, and my eyes are good enough to see that these questionable calls are just so cliche at this point. And I'm not trying to be as animated as I can be, but please, does it always have to? Do the refs always have to make a questionable call? Do we have to hear that damn whistle at the weirdest times in a game? Only time will tell, or the beat is gonna go on. But that's your Sunday night game. Chiefs with the victory thanks to their defense, 22-17 over the Falcons. We have the Jets and Pats on Thursday night now, right? And this right here, this made you smile if you are a Jets fan. Or if you're an Aaron Rodgers fan like me, especially. But Rodgers' first home game since his injury, and we got a hell of a show. The Jets finally beating the Patriots at home for the first time since 2008, and just the way the offense was facilitated was beautiful. Even though they are playing against one of the worst teams on paper in the NFL and the Patriots, and they just aren't the same. The Jets were able the Jets and Aaron Rodgers especially, everybody did their part. Rodgers used multiple weapons. He was able to get his quick releases. He was able to run like he used to, even if he had people nervous. They just want him to slide down and not have a major hit. But regardless, he was just being the same Rodgers we expect him to be, even at his advanced age. And being going 27 35, 281 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions, and then Braden Allen and is turning into a major member of this offense, getting 55 yards on 11 carries. Brees Hall running in for a touchdown as well, and obviously you can't forget him. But Hall and Allen right there is your duo to watch out for in the NFL. And also Tyler Conklin, major factor in this win with 5 receptions and 93 yards. He might be a secret weapon. You watch. He actually was one of the few bright spots on offense in the Zach Wilson era. And now you have Aaron Rodgers, who is a million times better than Wilson. Watch out and see what the New York Jets are going to pull off. Big win. They got another winnable game next week against Denver. Hopefully, they can keep the momentum going. And why don't we hit on the other New York team? I got a great vibe with the Giants winning over the Cleveland Browns. They go on the road in Cleveland, And this game could not have started any worse. The second week in a row where a horrendous special teams mistake is made from the Giants special teams. Last week, the kicking team gave up a kick return for a touchdown. Luckily, it was called back. And this time, they fumbled in their own red zone. And obviously, and then Jason Watson throws to Amari Cooper to get a touchdown in the second play of the game. I'm listening to the game at this point before I was able to watch it, and I'm pounding on I'm literally pounding on my steering wheel in a parking lot. Immature, I know, whatever. I was upset. And then as the game went on though, things couldn't get better. The Giants scored 21 unanswered points. They get 8 sacks on Deshaun Watson. And for a Cleveland Browns team that is a legitimate good team in this league, with the exception of their quarterback, and they had a competent quarterback and one with not immersed in controversy, and already people hated on him for the contract, they'd be in a pretty good spot. But it is what it is. Giants take advantage. And even though there were times we were sweating it out, especially on defense, Giants win the game. Even if it wasn't as pretty as we'd like, a win is a win. Short week against Dallas. Who knows? Who knows? And obviously, we'll talk about Dallas's struggles in the first half of their game against Baltimore, almost coming back. But I'm sure it's going to be a very hard matchup. But Giants are back at MetLife next week, this Thursday, I should say. But at least coming to a game with, especially when Daniel Jones is looking good. To not get a bunch of people texting me about Daniel Jones, hating on him, throwing over 200 yards in the air, a couple of touchdowns, and Malik Neighbors with the distinct honor of being the hottest rookie in the NFL right now. Things can only make you smile this week. And who knows how long we will be smiling for the Giants Nation. But for today, we can be very happy. And then we have to do it all over again on Thursday. I don't know. Maybe we get some momentum against Dallas. Maybe. But we will ultimately wait to see what happens there. But for today, Giants look good. 21-15 victory. Great stuff for Big Blue. And then if we continue with the NFC East, Eagles and the Saints play a very cool, very tight matchup, with Nick Sirianni having questionable play calls during it, and especially, deciding whether to kick on fourth down when you are clearly in field goal range and you mess it up. But ultimately, Saquon Barkley is the savior. An early fourth quarter touchdown, and Jalen Hurts running. And sorry, an early fourth quarter major play, and then Jalen Hurts running down the field for a huge touchdown, and the Eagles pull it off. The Saints end it with Derek Carr throwing an interception to end the game. And I know a lot of people are hyped about the Saints and they were looking really good, but the offense really didn't click until the very end of the game. And, people feel Derek Carr somebody who is great when the regular season starts and then dwindles down as the season goes on. I don't think there was anything really convincing if you're a Saints fan. Obviously, with a tough loss, winnable game, would have been huge if you could pull off this win. But ultimately, the Saints, as the underdog, go on the road and win 15-12. Nick Sirianni is off the hot seat for now, with very bitter Eagles fans after the ugly Monday Night Football loss that they suffered. But a win is a win, and the Eagles get back their momentum. And let's see if next week the Saints are really legit as they are. It's about week 5 till we really see who's who in the NFL. And as we're a couple weeks from that benchmark, jury's still out on New Orleans, if you ask me. And then we'll keep it going with the other NFC East team that played on Sunday. Commanders played tonight, and the Ravens and the Cowboys went up against each other. The Ravens winning 28-25, though up 28-6 in the first half. It seems that the Ravens were about to seal it. Derrick Henry looking like his vintage self. And at least if there's anything you could get out of this game is that the Baltimore rushing attack is pretty solid. Sorry, the Baltimore rushing game is pretty solid. But ultimately the Cowboys did make a push. cut it down to just 3, and you got to give. And then Lamar gets the final possession, the final drive. They need to keep converting on first down to run the clock out, and Lamar Jackson did just that. And with that fake option to get the final touchdown to put the final first down to put the nail in the coffin, Ravens hold on to win. You still I think if they were able to keep it as a blowout like they were doing, you would feel just the Ravens were off to a rough start. But they will eventually hit the expectations that you expect them to. But now almost blowing this game on the road against Dallas, the jury is also still out on them. At least the offense looks good. Lamar looks great. Looks good. Derrick Henry looks great, and the defense, though, what was supposed to be a top defense, the 18 unanswered points in the second half is a concern. But we will wait on another day to see where the Ravens go. But Ravens get the victory. Dallas now 1-2 to start this season. And they are definitely going to be very hungry to try to get back to 500 against the Giants. But that will be an intriguing Thursday night matchup that none of us want to miss. But a big comeback that was pulled off today, and what might be Kyle Shanahan's worst head coaching loss. But we had an impressive Rams comeback victory over the 49ers. The Rams were down 21-7. And Jawan Jennings and Brock Purdy was your great duo of the week. Well, ultimately, thanks to the veteran play of Matthew Stafford and Kieran Williams' gritty running game, they were able to pull off the comeback once and for all. And both teams are missing their top receivers. 49ers have no Kittle. They have no Debo. Rams have no Puka. They have no Cooper Kupp. But people like Donovan and Tutu Atwell and Kieran Williams, well, they were just fine and shows how good the veteran Matthew Stafford really is. And the 49ers really need to get back. They need to get their team back once and for all. Because Brock Purdy, if Jawan Jennings is out, Brock Purdy is the system quarterback that everybody thinks he is. So Jawan Jennings is the one, and after a great Super Bowl that everybody referred to, and a really good start to the season, very good week 1 against the Jets. Week 2, not so much against the Vikings. But again, when they needed him to step up against the 49ers, whose defense is still intact. Sorry, against the Rams, whose defense is rebuilding. Kind of tough to lose this game for the 49ers. The Rams win, though, and the 49ers start the season 1-2. Who saw that coming? Now, this was a fun game to watch. The Steelers and Chargers. Steelers pass rush is the best in the league, hands down, led by TJ Watt. Once again, at home against the team that going into this game was the best rushing team. And what are they? The team that is leading in rushing yards. And what do? They made sacks. They prevented huge yardage from J.K. Dobbins, who was leading the league in rushing yards. They were able to, with the exception of the Quentin Johnson touchdown, they were able to lock down the secondary was able to lock down the receivers. And then Justin Fields, the third week in a row getting a win. It's soon you're going to have soon it's going to have to be his job permanently. And the Steelers getting a big 20-10 victory over the Chargers. And the Steelers are undefeated, 3-0 going into the fourth week of the season. Chargers are going to be fine. I will say, impressive stuff from Joe Alt hanging in there as best as he could. He's going to be a top tackle in this league, if not already, for the young Notre Dame alumnus. The Vikings continue their run. The Vikings are the hottest team in the NFL, and they beat down the legitimate Houston Texans. They're at home. How can you not be happy for Sam Darnold throwing 4 touchdowns? The running game was kicking ass too. And the defense for the Vikings, led by Brian Flores, whether they were blitzing and sacking CJ Stroud, they created turnovers. They were able to get the Texans to create dumb penalties. Go Skull, or not Go Skull, sorry. That's cringe. Skull or whatever, right? The Vikings looking promising. And a couple more games like this, you will finally realize they are legit. And Sam Darnold, sure, he has Justin Jefferson, but his other main weapons are out. Wait until Hawkinson gets back. Wait until Addison gets back. The Vikings are legit in the NFC North. I think the Texans will bounce back, though. Do not expect them to only score 7 points, but shows that the Vikings defense might actually have something here. They are going to be all right. But taking out Nico Collins was the big reason why the Vikings won. Jake Dell finally shows up, but him and Diggs couldn't add to it. No Joe Mixon either, and you see why the Vikings won the game. Broncos and Bucks. All right, I'm going to go through my NFL picks. 0 for 3, right? I got reverse swept in the NFL. I only won one game in college with the Miami. I go 5-1 last week. This week I go 1-5. Just happens. It's part of the game. We'll bounce back this week, I promise. But the next 3 games are going to be my picks. And the one I was for sure a lock, was the Broncos and Bucks. And the opposite happened. Broncos on the road. Bo Nix gets his first win as a starter, runs in for a touchdown, was able to get the ball to his receivers, and the running game was able to score as well. And the Bucks were just so horrendous on offense. Baker was sacked 7 times, could not hit his receivers, not accurate at all, and Tampa just embarrassed themselves at home against a far inferior team despite having a superior head coach. But unfortunately, the Bucks had no answers. They just were straight up outplayed, and Baker and the Bucks definitely want to make up for it. I'll tell you that. And for the Broncos going back on the road against the Jets this week, I doubt it, but we'll see if they could get off the momentum from this game. Seahawks and Dolphins. Now, this was bad. And you see the viral meme going on around with the pantsed Miami Dolphins quarterback. But Dolphins lose 24-3. Bad pick by me, going Dolphins +4. And it was just hard to watch. I thought the running game was going to be a big factor in this, and it was nothing but. Oh boy. Let me recap really quick, right? In this disappointing Miami loss. Devon Achane, 11 carries, only 30 yards. Tyreek Hill only gets 40 yards. I mean, Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle weren't it. Oh, Skylar Thompson recovers, but he did not look like an NFL quarterback out there. Ugly, ugly stuff. Only averaging 5 yards a catch. They saw 5 yards a reception. Not what you wanted to see. Jalen Wright only getting 2 carries for 17 yards, and it sucked. Absolutely sucked. What I thought was going to be the biggest factor, and then the complete opposite happened. The Seahawks pass rush looked great. The Seahawks secondary looked great. Gino was having a great game. Even without Kenneth Walker, they were still able to rush in for touchdowns and rush in for major yards and touchdowns. I mean, Charbonnet, UCLA running back. All he does is get 91 yards, 18 carries, and a couple of touchdowns. DK Metcalf doing what he is supposed to do, 4 receptions for 104 yards and a touchdown. And I just completely missed the boat. And I will hold myself responsible there. But give credit to the Seahawks. Now they're 3-0. And yeah, maybe they are someone to really pay attention to. I certainly am. And the Dolphins, man, without Tua, this, and they clearly have no quarterback. You have to see if Tannehill's available. You have to see what other options. But if Skylar Thompson does come back, he did not look good. He looked nervous, wasn't pushing the ball down the field. I mean, it was absolutely ugly. For anybody who was a Dolphins fan who went all the way out to Seattle for that, sucks for you. What can I say? And another one of that, though, not that I knew it was a lock. I did think at least a 6.5 spread that the Raiders would at least cover. But Andy Dalton returns to the starting role. Those only does is throw over 300 yards, throws 3 touchdowns, and the Raiders just look terrible today in front of their home fans. Even Antonio Pierce said they are players who will be disciplined from this. But the Raiders clearly have the worst running game. Miss Josh Jacobs bad. They only had 55 total rushing yards. Gardner Minshew had a couple of moments with Devontae Adams, which is a default. You maybe get a moment or two with him. But everything else, the Raiders just was not clicking. And the Panthers were finally exciting for once. Andy Dalton was you give credit to him. Seems like a good guy who's been consistent for the most part when he's actually played. And getting to that young team of again being able to make this team look good as it did, gotta tip your cap. And just if you're Bryce Young, won't see you starting next week. All you could do is just hope he learns. And I really hope. I hope. Though I'm not all in on Bryce Young. I support him if he can pull off this comeback, though. And then we have the Packers and Titans, where Malik Willis gets revenge on his old team. Packers score 30 points against the Titans on the road. Both his arms and legs were a big factor. And the Green Bay defense was eating up Will Levis with the third straight game of him making dumb decisions. And you have to be frustrated. Continues to turn over the ball, continues to miss his receivers, continues to get pressured, and not showing a dog mentality whatsoever. And as for the Packers, who might be having Jordan Love return this week, the Packers seem like they are just fine, whether with Willis or Love, and I'm sure they are going to add to their stock once Love comes back. But they're running really well. Josh Jacobs getting him was a major factor. They are protecting the quarterback no matter who is in the pocket. And yeah, 30 points against a legit good defense of the Titans. The Packers look really, really good. And the final game to talk about for now. And again, we'll talk about our Monday games on Thursday. And those games are the Commanders and Bengals on Monday night. And then Jaguars and Bills on Monday night as well. Maybe a quick thing. I give the money line for the Bills, money line for the Bengals on that one. But the Colts and Bears, where the Bears continue to have offensive line problems. And I think it's more of an offensive line problem than Caleb Williams holding on to the ball too long, even though that is a factor. There's just so many instances where you see these linemen on their asses and Caleb is scrambling for his life. And all these great weapons that they have can't reach the potential like they should be. Though Roma Duze looked good in this game, but the Bears couldn't do much. The Colts finally they get a win to start their season. This is our Colts song can be celebrated with a nice win over a Bears team that people like to watch or talk about at least. Even though Anthony Richardson, I wish could look more convincing, but with the help of Jonathan Taylor and making big plays when they needed to, the Colts get a much needed victory at home over the Bears, winning 21-16. Again, stop playing so recklessly, Anthony Richardson, and everything's going to be okay. And as for the Bears, got to fix that offensive line problem, and Caleb needs to look more convincing as the number one overall pick. And I give the guy credit. He has a lot of pressure. I even think a lot of people want to see him fail because of his lifestyle choices. Not that that's here nor there, and not that that even matters. I support the guy if he wants to do him. But if you want to be in this league and you want to be taken seriously, you got to score more touchdowns. You finally got your first passing touchdown. Got to get all this great talent around you looking as best as they can. That's the point of the quarterback position. You make people look as best as they can. And for now, even though it's very early in his career, he isn't getting people really excited. And all I ask is that Caleb Williams does everything he can to make people more excited for him and the Bears. Now at 1-2, time to step up. Time to step up for Chicago and now have more convincing and dominating victories. But that will be our recap for week 3 of the NFL season. We're back here a week from tonight for week 4 of the NFL season and week 5 of the college football season. Check out our picks for week 4 and week 5 on Thursday. And I hope everybody has a wonderful final week of September and just take a deep breath and see what's out in this beautiful world of ours. But tomorrow, the 400th episode of Productive Conversations will be released to the public as we celebrate this big milestone. And then again, picks on Thursday, and then another tweet cap on Friday. And then we'll be back here talking about what happened in the world of the NFL. So looking forward to then, looking forward to speaking with you all and talking this week, and looking forward to celebrating 400 episodes with the Productive Nation. And my name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast. And we'll be seeing each other very, very soon. Much love, everybody. Peace.